Good evening. It's 7:30, and I call to order the January 28, 2015 meeting of the Historic District Commission. And I'd like to start with a roll call on the dais and start on my left.
Trudy Schwartz, Community Planning Manager.
I'm Frank Johnson, Assistant City Attorney.
Mary Jo LaFrance.
Chris Kurtz.
John Roddy.
Mark Feinstein.
Phil Wessel.
Chris Berger. Gregory Mann.
We do have a quorum, and Phil Wessel, who is an alternate, will be operating in capacity as a full voting member tonight. And I want to turn the floor over to Trudy because we have some pleasant announcements.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'd like to officially introduce to you Chris Berger, our new planner for who will be staff to the Historic District Commission. Chris comes to us from sunny Florida. He did not bring the weather with him. He has his undergraduate degree from University of Florida in journalism, and he has his master's in historic preservation also from the University of Florida. And we welcome him, and he's been with us for 3 weeks, and he's been a great assistance, and we look forward to working with him and working with you.
Great. Well, welcome, Chris.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Anything you want to say?
I'm just glad to be here. I know I have big shoes to fill, but I'll do my best to live up to Matt's legacy.
Okay, well done. All right, let me read our opening statement, and then we're going to move in to the agenda, the first of which is election of officers. So this may or may not be my last official chair duty. This commission is empowered to meet and act under Article 12 of the City Code of Gaithersburg. The technical qualifications of the staff of this commission and the members of this commission are on file with the City of Gaithersburg, are available on request to any applicant, and are hereby made a part of the legal record of each and every application heard today. Each application is considered on its own merits and is not to be considered as establishing a precedent for any other application. Okay, our next order of business, each January annually we do elect officers of the commission. It is January, so this is annual election time. So what I would like to do is to just open it up to any members sitting, if there is anyone they would like to nominate, either for chair. I'm deviating a little bit from this script, but it's as chair or vice chair or a slate. So Phil, let me start with you if I may.
I'd like to nominate you, sir, to be the next chair.
Ooh, okay. Any thoughts as to vice? I mean, speaking in the chair sense.
I'd like to nominate both of you two gentlemen to continue on in your current roles.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. Mark?
I second that nomination for both.
Okay. Mary Jo?
And I agree as well.
I think we've been railroaded, sir.
Well, no, if you all would want, I'd be delighted, dude. And I really feel honored. You guys are all terrific, and I include our other members who are not here tonight. You guys are fiercely bright. You do your homework, and it's just a pleasure to work with you. I've had good relations with the staff, so I think we've got it pretty well oiled, and John keeps me as honest as it's possible. So I guess we then, well, let me just ask, are there any other thoughts regarding nominees before I close, I guess, taking nominations? Okay, so we have a motion that's been seconded for me to continue as chair with John as my vice. So I'm going to recuse myself from the vote. But,
As will I.
All in favor?
Actually, you may want to close nominations first.
I thought I did. I thought that's just what I did. But, all right.
I move we close the nominations then.
All right.
Second.
Okay. All in favor of closing the nominations?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now that we are closed, and we have a slate proposed that has been proposed and seconded, John and I are going to recuse ourselves. All in favor of the nominated slate?
Aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right, well, thank you for, it is a pleasure working with you, and thanks for the confidence that you show in John and myself. Next piece of business is the approval of the minutes. Anybody have any comments, suggestions, concerns? Okay, I will entertain a motion
I
to...
so move.
Okay, seconded?
Second?
The motion is to approve the minutes as written. Okay, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain, okay, because you weren't here last time.
Right.
Got it, thank you. Done. Okay. Our next order of business is the historic area work permit on the CBD Central Business District Zone. Do we have a staff presentation?
Yes.
Good. And we have materials which will make everybody happy. Fire away.
Good evening. This application is for minor revisions to the exterior architecture. Additionally, the applicant has also included the final locations of the courtyards and the review of the exterior building materials, as was required by conditions of approval for application HIST 3819-2013, approved November 13th, 2013. The subject property, formerly known as the Y site, is located within the Old Town District, addressed at 200 Old Town Avenue. The Y site is a locally designated property designated by Resolution HDC-1-86 on October 6, 1986. The property was a turning Y for the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, a self-described arrangement of railroad tracks that enable the train to turn around, reversing its direction. Since its designation, the property has gone through significant changes. HOP 55 was granted in 1997, removing the train tracks and replacing them with a parking lot. Additionally, in 2001, HOP 55A was approved, subdividing the property to allow for the construction of Old Town Avenue. Currently, the property is an underutilized parking lot. With that, I will now turn the presentation over to Scott Copeland from RST Development to present the application and answer any questions the Commission may have.
Which one of these does it matter?
Doesn't matter.
Good evening. My name is Scott Copeland. I'm a principal of RST Development. We are the owner of the parcel, the Y site parcel. We still, just for convenience, reference the property as the Y site. Thank you for the opportunity to be before you tonight, and look forward to the presentation right here. Mm-hmm. Just a brief outline of the project itself. It's a 5-story multi-family residential, obviously apartment building, which will include 199 apartment units, and an addition to the existing city-owned garage with a 6-story addition that will add 194 parking spaces to the existing garage. As Greg mentioned, there have been project approvals. We've been before you guys a few times. The Planning Commission approved us on originally in April of 2011, and then again in October of 2013, and the Historic District Commission on May 5, 2011, and again November 13th of 2013. The project has been issued a building permit, and that was issued by the city on December 21st, 2012, just to give you a brief history of the development. Currently, the application, I guess that's pending. We want to highlight some minor revisions that we've made to the exterior since the last time we've been in front of you. Review of the building materials, which was a condition of our original approval. And then we'll highlight the location of the 3 courtyards that are part of the project. So the revisions to the exterior architecture is where we'll start. And obviously, if there are any questions or comments as I go, please feel free to jump in. Just to give you a little identification of what we're looking at, the area in the red bar, front elevation A, is basically looking on, if you're standing on Old Town Avenue looking at the building, in this case looking at the railroad tracks as of now, this would be the very front of the building. This would be our kind of entrance facade. So what we tried to do in the next several slides is the bottom image, or the bottom rendering, was the original plan that was before you guys in 2011. The image on the top of the slide is the changes that we have made to the facade. And we've clouded those changes to the very best of our ability. It's difficult, obviously, for me to highlight, to point to it, because it's on the slide. But what I'm trying to do, if you want the details on each of the changes, is to kind of move left to right on the facade of the building, just to kind of highlight some of the changes that are clouded in the red. Does that work? So the first cloud would be the two windows that were added. Typically, when we are adding windows or changing the size of windows, it's typically a reconfiguration of the unit inside that creates, obviously, a new opportunity for a changed window. And that's exactly the case there. Moving across the stairwell door, which is highlighted, that used to be with a step, as you can see on the bottom image. Now it's at grade. We've also added a light above it for life safety purposes. The center section has reduced brick from the original, but we worked architecturally to kind of create more of a tower look, if you will, as opposed to the box look that was originally approved. And then we cleaned up the trim detail at the top of that tower. Continuing across is the stairwell door on this side, the same thing. It's now on grade with a added light above it, and again the additional brick there was a change to an interior layout. So we highlighted that with additional brick in that location. Are there any questions on this elevation before I move to the next slide?
Commissioners, any questions?
The change in the center section where we reduced the brick, does that correspond to a step back in the facade, or is it merely a change in what's applied to
Can
the
I get
facade?
back? Yeah, this way. So you see in this slide, you see where the word entrance is. So how it's all set back. You can see right there in the middle is a little bit of a jet out, if you will, out. So that's that location.
But if you go back to the elevation, the brick sort of stops at the top of the second story.
Correct.
That transition from brick to what I'm assuming is siding above it.
It's actually hardy. It's a panel.
Hardy
yeah.
plank. Does that happen in the same plane, or is there another?
Does that happen in the same plane?
It happens in the same thing.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mike, because they're on the TV, so you have to speak on the microphone. So
That's okay. You don't have to do it now. Because it's in the same plane. This is I'm sorry. This is Rosanna Torres is the architect of the project.
Any other questions? Okay.
Moving to the next slide, again highlighting elevation B, and then if you were standing inside the courtyard looking on either side, looking to your left and your right would be A1 and A2.
Before you leave that, could I ask a question?
Of course.
What separates the pool courtyard from the public space?
That is a retaining wall that's right on the edge of the property, and the pool courtyard. The pool courtyard is not attached to the public space,
Right.
other than an emergency access point, which you see on there.
Then this retaining wall is how high from grade?
Are we going to get
Wait,
Just
it changes. I would say at the highest point, it's easily 8 feet.
6 to 8 feet.
Yeah.
Phil, you were going to
I
ask?
was just going to say, are we going to get to that elevation?
We
further
are.
on in the presentation?
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
No worries. But the elevation of that wall is not part of the review because it's not part of the building, so you won't see that elevation
All right.
of the wall itself.
All right.
Okay. So again, this is elevation B, and then again A1 and A2. On the left side of the page of the slide is elevation B, and then the other ones are A1 and A2. They're very similar. In elevation B, again, the window the units themselves changed, the layouts changed, so therefore affecting the layout of the windows. And that's moving across in both of the larger clouds. Again, the stairwell door is now on grade, and there's a light added for life safety purposes. At the very top of the center clouded area, you'll see a mullion on top of the window. That was simply added to just generate more light in that particular unit. We had an opportunity to do that, and so we did, and that's different from the original. And then we cleaned up the railing detail, which we'll get into the materials in a bit, but we just cleaned up the detail of the railings over the windows. On A1 and A2, it's very similar. Again, going left to right, the fin at the very top of both of those, that is highlight. That was just a cleanup on the elevation. It's not changed as far as looking at it straight on. It's just the way it presented in the original elevation. And then there's a detail on the brick band. There's a soldier course of brick there as opposed to how it was originally shown. So it was just kind of a cleanup on that detail. And then on the bottom with the additional door, it was just added for ingress and egress purposes. Typically life safety is my assumption. Any questions on those three elevations?
Yeah, the fin that you're described at the top of elevations A1 and A2, can you describe a little more of the materials for that?
Yes, it's a metal, which we're going to get into all the materials for the whole building, but that would be a metal clad element.
All right, anything else?
Okay. This is a part of that elevation, looking at, it would be C3, so if you were standing on the adjacent property looking towards what is the pool courtyard, is this elevation. And then elevation D on the opposite side of the building is actually the loading area and the entranceway to the parking garage. So let's see, elevation C. We changed the door, starting on the bottom left. We changed the door and added a side light to that door. We had shifted around the program of that space to include an interior pool shack, which is a guardhouse, and the pool equipment. So it changed the access points and the window lines in that lower left corner area of that elevation. If you continue along there, there's also added egress from the men's and ladies' room, from the bathrooms to the pool area that are included there. Moving up that tower, if you will, includes additional cleaning up of the balcony railing detail from the previous plan. And let me see. So then in the center, we cleaned up some of the general architecture to include the panels as opposed to some of the planks that were previously shown. And then at the very top, on the top right, is what we're calling an eyebrow. It's an architectural feature that kind of wraps that corner, which would also be metal clad. On the D side, again, we added some of the soldier brick course, kind of cleaned up that detail again. The balcony railing detail is highlighted as well. We added a few panels, some of the paneling between the windows as opposed to the planks, and then removed the two windows on the lower right. There were two windows that went into a storage area. We're not sure how they ever got there, so we moved this. Any questions on this slide? The next elevations are the interior courtyard. This is a private, obviously, to the residents for their exclusive use. You see I-1 is the long one, if you will, and then I-2 is the shorter range looking at the building in that direction. The changes at the bottom, starting again on the top drawing on the bottom left, working our way across. This also, we changed the programming of some of the common amenity spaces that lead from the lobby into this area, so therefore the doors changed. I mean, I think we did, it's a much cleaner sort of presentation. We had a slew of doors coming in and out of there for different purposes. We were able to consolidate that, which is reflected there. Also changed the detail on the railings there. We did add the transom to some windows on the upper levels. And throughout here, we changed in some cases from the panel to the plank design. And then on I-2, we had to modify a stairwell internally. We took out the side light and we moved the side light to the adjacent door. And then we removed some of the railing detail in this case and added panels between these windows as opposed to the planks.
Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you.
Of course. And then I-3 is, I'm sorry, just so everybody gets the view. We enhanced the parapet detail that wasn't shown previously. Again, with the transoms at the windows, and we removed some of the railing details, and again added the Hardy panels system as opposed to the planks in several of these areas around the windows.
Okay.
Are there any questions on that? Okay. So the second item for your consideration is which is an original condition from your original approval, is the review of the exterior building materials themselves. So we brought a couple sample boards, and we have a couple of other samples that we'd like to share with you. I went back through the same elevations, so you'll ignore, if you would, the highlighted area. It's immaterial at this point. You'll see a theme starts to kind of repeat itself. I know we're with it all the time. You just got to kind of pay attention to what's shown. But obviously, there are areas that are clearly planks. That would be a plank board, which is number 5. These are not the colors, by the way. This is just a sample of the material itself. And then at the same time, the paneled looking areas of varying dimensions, but you can tell they're panels. In this case, on the upper level, is also, what number is that? Number 4.
Stop.
Oh, I'm sorry. You told me that. I forgot. Number 4. And that's the same type of material. And this is the riglet that it connects to, attaches to. And then the other major component is the metal that we referenced earlier, number 6 here. And then the brick on the lower levels, or wherever the brick is number 1, correct?
Yeah, except for that.
Is number 1, and the only difference in this brick, and we'll get to in a second, is in the back wall that faces the railroad track. We'll get to that in 1 second. So those are the materials throughout the entire building. I'm happy to go through it elevation by elevation if you so desire, but it repeats itself throughout. Additionally, are there railings on this one? There are. So this is a sample of the railing that we've been referencing. This is the post that would hold it up, obviously, and then this would be the cap that would go on top of it. Still fine-tuning colors and things of that nature, but for this review, just wanted to provide the actual materials themselves. Each of these are the elevations. I can highlight if you'd like, or I can just kind of whiz through them.
Can you talk a little bit more about in A1 and A2 the items that are clouded that are sticking up?
Yeah, the
like
fins.
What can we maybe highlight what those are in elevation? In the front elevation of them? Do we have that?
It shows in the front.
So okay.
I'll zoom in for you.
Thank you.
Or those
Would be these elements here
Exactly.
in there as well.
It's just an architectural feature. It's a metal-clad fin, is what we're calling it.
okay.
Okay. So again, continuing on, it's just is right through the elevations. This elevation was not changed, so that's why it's not clouded, but it's the same materials. Again, these were the same elevations you saw earlier, same ones you saw earlier in the interior courtyard. Again, and then this was one of the interior courtyards that did not change, so it was not clouded. So, but again, the same materials. The rear elevation, as you may recall, I'm not sure if you do, but is the design of the rear of the building is going to. We were modeling it after Camden Yards, if you will, along the railroad track. So we're going to create an old warehouse look that has bricked-in windows. So we're using a brick that is actually very heavy and big. What number?
That would be number 2.
Number 2. So this is the window one, or?
That's actually the window size.
Okay. So we have 2 separate colors. One of them, which will be just the wall itself, which would be number 3. And then the color up here, number 2, generally these colors would be used to brick in. So there's a little bit of a change of color. And this is actually a structural wall brick. So this is the actual brick size that we will be using for the wall. Any questions on the rear facade?
Yeah, you may have talked about it the last presentation, and I'm just trying to recall. How does that, well, especially on the north side, how does that turn the corner?
Obviously on the south side it ties into the parking garage. So right, so that on the north side, so the wall ends, and what facade would that be, Alex? Is there a facade that we could show that shows any of the detail on that? It doesn't wrap in brick if that's it
changes to Hardy.
It changes to the Hardy plank, at the corner.
So it's just basically a...
Yes.
Yeah. There may be a small return, but yes.
Okay.
Can we zoom in on this image on the right side?
Bear with me here 1 second.
I think that's what you're seeing, that little setback there. If you go down to the key plan, you see how where it turns, it kicks off at like a 45
that
degree.
piece that's Hardy plank.
So
That elevation is scheduled to be Hardy plank. Yes.
So we're going to see in this elevation a pretty, compared to the rest of the size of the rest of the elevation, not a huge area, but you're going to see a face of Hardy plank presenting itself to this direction.
It's really not presenting itself fully to that
It's going to be
direction.
at a 45 degree
It's at an angle, correct. And it's on the track, so I don't know really what visibility it has.
What's the detail above at the lintels above, head and sill of the windows? Is that
You talking about here?
no?
No,
The
Oh, yeah, that's
the
a soldier
bricking.
course.
It's just okay.
Soldier course of the same material.
Okay.
What about from the sill? Is there...
Same.
It'll be same material. It'll be a sill piece. Same brick.
And the windows are set back in.
They're 2 inches. They're 2 inches in.
In the darker color.
Yeah.
And at the parapet, is it... what
The
do you have?
parapet is this
cap.
metal
Just a
cap.
metal cap, so it goes straight up to
Is a
the
metal
metal.
cap.
But it has some indentations. It's not
So there's some...
straight.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you need to repeat that, just.
Yeah, just
what
repeat
you
Say it
said.
on the.
There's some indentation.
Just tell me and I'll say it.
It has some indentations. It is not straight down.
It has some indentations. It's not straight down.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Anything?
Okay.
All right.
Thanks. One of the other conditions from the original approval was the final location of the courtyards themselves, which has not actually changed, and they are here. This is an overall image, a plan view of the overall property. There are 3 courtyards: the entrance courtyard, the interior courtyard, which will be programmed with resident amenity space, and then obviously the pool courtyard, which will house the swimming pool.
Okay.
Do we have a view from the street? How much of the pool is going to be visible to the public? Do we know?
The pool will not be very visible to the public because of the wall and the grades. We don't have an elevation of that because that's not the elevation is not of the site. It's just of the building, so you don't see the relationship to the actual swimming pool.
Correct me if I'm wrong, it's right here, would be the pool, right?
Yeah.
So it'd be on the other side of that wall. Yeah, I guess we do have an
Yeah,
elevation.
this is the stairwell way you just saw that goes up.
For the
So this would be the
emergency
retaining
access.
wall.
Yeah.
So that retaining wall extends, it looks like 3 or 4 feet above the
It-
pool deck level.
It's also the safety
It's the
wall.
safety wall.
Exactly.
But it screens the pool chairs and
Correct.
the umbrellas and,
Right.
all the stuff that goes with the pool.
Correct.
Okay.
And then we do have a few remaining conditions that include location of interpretive signage related to the project, the signage on the back wall. When we ultimately get to that, we will be back before you guys asking for your review, and that'll be at some date in the months to come. And I believe that is all of our information.
All right. Thank you. Let me start with you, Mary Jo. Any additional questions?
No, I don't think it.
All right. John?
No, sir.
Mark?
Yeah, my only comment, and I don't know if it's a question, but it's, and I don't know if there's something to be done, is that north corner at that 45, I would love it if the brick at least continued to that edge of that 45 and then returned to the Hardy at that point. I think it would kind of emphasize that warehouse and not just look like give it some more mass as opposed to looking more like just a movie set. If that return, yeah.
Because it will be visible to the public in Old Town. Any walkers,
Yeah.
anybody that's going to the restaurants over there, any of that.
So yeah, so in the top left.
We have to look into it, that's not, it's a structural.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to change from the structural brick to an applied brick.
Exactly.
Right.
So we're trying to figure out the whole constructability of that, the reality of the constructability of it. I'm just not sure it's as.
Was that structural brick the actual module size of what you're proposing to use?
Yes.
The face dimensions?
Yes, it is.
So what is that, is a 16 wide?
4 by 4 by 16.
4 by 4 by 16.
4 by 10 by 16.
4 by 10.
So the face is 4 by 16.
Yes,
Yeah.
10 inches deep.
Right. 10 inches deep, yeah, 4 by 16. Yes.
So I would think you'd be able to get a similar veneer brick in that dimension, but like you said, you got to look into it. But I would concur with that recommendation.
I'll that last as is my custom. Thank you for a very thorough presentation. Yes.
Is the public allowed to comment?
Absolutely.
But
Thank you very much. Phil, come on up, introduce yourselves.
Sure. I am Don Patty, and I'm a resident in Old Town. Can you pull up the image of the back wall that faces the train, please?
And do you mind if I just get your address too for the record?
Sure. 104 Russell Avenue.
Thank you.
Okay. So I come from an area where everything is modern, and it's modern to the point where I'll say frankly, it lacks character. I'm not talking about the town I live in now, but where I lived in the past. And one of the things I really like about Old Town is that it has some age and some distinction associated with that. And one of the things I see here is quite a bit of uniformity. And I'd like to make a suggestion that perhaps you could look at either cosmetic changes or adjustments that might give it the feel or impression that the building actually has additional age to it. That could include something like making it feel like there is a cargo bay, or that was bricked off, or a window that is no longer used, or a door that is no longer used. Again, going along with the theme or concept that this has been repurposed for its current use. And I guess that's really
Sure.
my
Thanks, Don.
only thought or suggestion.
It's ironic because one of the things I was going to compliment them for is particularly that rear, I guess it's the northerly facade. I love the idea of the indented
Thank you.
brick to give the impression of windows that were filled in. Okay, so commissioners, what is your pleasure?
Can I just ask
Please,
one more question?
yes, any,
What is your plan as far as mortar color on the backside?
We haven't decided on the color, on the exact color scheme yet. We're not, I don't know the answer to that yet.
Okay, I would encourage you to, again, and request that you make sure your mortar color selection is equally sort of in the historical vein, especially on that back wall.
Of course.
You know, a mortar color that is really close to the brick color is going to make the wall up here really monolithic and not like brick. Same with a really dark mortar color. It's with the size of that facade, the mortar color is going to make as big of a difference as the brick color and how that facade looks.
Agreed.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Now, may I ask, what exactly are we approving tonight for materials? It's been complicated, so may I ask that
Yes.
if we decide to approve,
Yes.
I mean.
The commission tonight, you're reviewing the changes to the elevations that were presented to you earlier, as well as the two conditions of approval from last time, which would be the materials, the approval of the materials, as well as the final location of the courtyards.
Great, just wanted to clarify.
yes, no, absolutely. Is everybody clear on what it is we're reviewing tonight?
I think so, yes.
Okay, have we a motion?
Can I ask, in the vein of the materials, just one more clarifying question? The brick on the non-railroad track side, is it going to be the thin brick as shown there, or is it going to be full dimensional?
Full
Brick.
dimensional from here. It's 2 3/4 by 3 and 5
You need
7
to
by
come,
18.
Alex, if you could come to the microphone.
Sorry.
that would
Go
really
ahead.
clear.
And do introduce yourself for the record, please.
Yeah, just want to make sure I get this right. I'm Alex Mays with RST. The brick will be full dimensional veneer brick. It's 2 3/4 by 7 and 5/8
In depth and thickness, or just?
width, and
But is it? That's my question. Is it? What's shown on the board is half-inch thick veneer brick.
that's sample brick.
Okay.
It's
so
not stick on. It's
It's
actual
going to be
mortar in place brick.
the full depth
Yes.
of a normal brick. Okay. I've seen installations where they take thin brick like that and panelize it.
Right.
And
No.
it doesn't look like
No,
laid up
that's
brick.
not-
So
that's not-
that was my only concern.
Okay.
So I'll stop asking questions now.
Well, no, listen, I'm going to take the liberty of the chair, which you guys were crazy enough to continue to give me. No, this is the great thing about this commission. You guys really dig in, really think about it, and that's what we're here to do. So, thank you. So any other, first off, Don, thank you for reminding me, always anybody from the audience is entitled and encouraged to speak. So if there is anybody else, pro, con, whatever, okay. Now, from the DS, any other questions at all that would enable the commissioners to make a motion to approve the three areas that have been clarified for us?
I think I'm good.
All right, then the chair is open to a motion.
Do we want a motion each individually, or?
I would think just across the board
One
that
motion
that the
should
conditions
be
1, 2, and
fine.
3 have been met. Frank, is that?
That would be, as long as it's the record's clear what the motion is, one is
Right.
fine, or you can do 3 separate ones.
It's only one application, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Correct.
think it would
That's-
So it'd be,
And that's why it was laid out as one.
All right.
yeah, it would be approval that if this is the group's will, that either one or two or all three of the conditions presented to us, or the elements really presented to us, the changes in the facade, the materials and the location of the courtyards, are acceptable to us.
Do you have a motion, Mary?
I sure could. I move that we approve HIST 6715-2015, and we need a number, right?
Oh, here it is, right here.
No, I mean for the...
The Secretary of Interior
yeah,
guidelines?
Secretary
No,
of
Frank,
Interior
what
standards.
is, isn't...
I mean,
we do not
this
need
really
those.
would be, I would,
This would be like additions, right?
right, I would generally suggest taking a look at the staff recommendation, and if that, the report did lay out the staff recommendation, and that may,
Rick, why don't you
because
read...
part of it is a matter of the
language?
city code.
Yeah.
Why don't you read your language?
I didn't put anything from this Secretary of Interior Standards. My understanding is, and again, I'll refer to Frank on this, I don't believe you need to reference the Secretary of Interior Standards, but we do need to reference the code.
Yeah.
So
Certainly
Okay.
can.
my
So-
recommendation would be staff recommends that the Historic District Commission grant HIST-6715-2015 finding in conformance with section 24-227.2 of this city code with the 4 conditions.
Yes. I don't have to say that, correct?
You
No,
you
but-
can
no,
say
he
I
has to
so
write-
move.
He has to write it up. That would be
Okay.
your motion,
Okay.
and we need a second.
Hold on, Phil.
Greg, can you confirm, just as this is a minor point, but you said HIST 6715-2015?
That's
and
correct.
in the material, it says
Oh,
6715-2014.
if that's the case, I'm sorry, that's a misprint.
It is.
Then change of the year.
Want to make sure we're
It's 2015,
We're
yeah.
officially
2015.
approving the right permit.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good.
All right.
Can we add I don't know if it's a
Recommendation.
non-binding recommendation, I guess, that is, that the brick along the, this would be northeast 45-degree facade be studied where it makes that turn, and also, I like your suggestion of maybe breaking up some of the regularity of the facade on the along the train tracks.
Would that be okay for it to be done at staff, just to review that with them?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
All right.
So I will, I don't, has anyone officially seconded? I don't
No,
believe so.
we need a second.
I will second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposition? All right, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Don, thanks for your thoughts. All right, we have a historic tax credit application for 15 Walker Avenue. And we do have a color, thank you, there was a request for a color photograph so we could differentiate the stucco, which we have, so thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And lady.
Okay, we have a building here at 15 Walker Avenue. It's a 1.5-story craftsman-style bungalow. It was built in 1917, and it contributes to the Brooks Russell Walker Historic District. The applicant, Jonathan Affeltranger, had damaged stucco removed on the home's north elevation and replaced in kind by a contractor. That work cost $7,000, in addition, he repaired damaged wood himself. The cost of materials for that repair totaled $72.13. So the completed project cost $7,000, $857.13. A historic area work permit was not required for this project.
Okay, Mary Jo, let me,
Looks like regular maintenance to me. It's over $1,000.
No issues.
Seems to be fit right in with the conditions.
Are we allowed to reimburse him for the value of his time in replacing the wooden?
What you're reimbursing him for is actually to purchase the materials, which is allowable.
But his time is
His
not.
time's not, no. He's
Alright.
not asking for reimbursement on the time, just the cost of materials.
okay.
Thank you.
Mark?
I have no issues.
No
Cool.
issues.
All right, thank you. So, do we need a motion to approve this, or just, in the past, we just have?
I think
We
we will
recommend for
guys.
approval.
Okay.
right?
I move we approve it.
Okay, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, our next is for a historic tax credit application for 104 Russell. As the previous owner of this, I'm going to recuse myself.
Again, we have a building that is applying for a Montgomery County Historic Tax Credit. It's a 2.5-story Victorian era residence that was built in 1895, and it contributes to the Brooks Russell Walker Historic District. The applicant, Donald Patty, had the chimney flue relined, and the project cost $4,410. Again, a historic area work permit was not required for this project.
Joe, why don't you run this one, since I'm recused?
Phil, why don't we start with you?
I have no issues.
Mark?
Just a confirmation that the flue liner counts for, because it's an interior.
That's
Yes,
correct,
it does, yes.
Yeah, no issues then.
Mary Jo? I have no issues either. Do we have a motion?
I move we certify that the work is eligible for participation in the Montgomery County Historic Preservation Tax Credit Program.
Thank you. Any seconds?
Second.
And just so that you understand, then that constitutes, as the prior one, a recommendation that
Yes.
that it be approved.
Yes.
Okay.
We have
Call
a
vote.
motion and a second. I will call for a vote. All in favor,
Aye.
please?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. No nays, so, and one abstention, so it passes.
Okay, thank you, Don. Staff updates, and so what, at the last meeting, we had requested that staff provide, which they did, the work plan that we had previously, which is from fiscal 2013. So that was sent to us all. So, do you want to say anything about that, Greg, or is it just up to us
I'll
commissioners
take
to
that.
kick
I'll
around?
take that.
Trudy, you want to speak to that? Great.
Since Chris is still in his very introductory phase of his employment with the city, his long employment with the city, we wanted to orient him to the historic districts and some of our historic resources outside of the district before we tackle this work plan, because we want to be able to advise the commission as to what staff time we have to direct towards these goals. And so if you would give us another month, we'd like to bring it back to the next meeting to be able to intelligently discuss them with you.
I don't know.
Well, let me just make a suggestion to my fellow committee. That's fine with me, but my thought would also be, I was looking at it, and I would invite all fellow commissioners to look at it, and definitely Chris needs time to get oriented, but any thoughts that you have, because I know one of the things I look forward to most each year, and it's in here, I believe, is that May is Historic Preservation Month. There's always a theme. We've always given awards. I hope we will continue to do that. We've messed around with categories, and we've always, I think, managed to come to complete concurrences on a project or two or three that we felt worthy. But there may be other things in other commissioners' minds that either are on here that they want to highlight, or other things that we haven't addressed. So I would say by all means, but at the same time, invite commissioners, if you have any thoughts, get them to Chris, and then we can just have a robust discussion at the February meeting.
Are you ready to update us on Summit Hall Farm, or no?
No, we are not.
Okay.
Sorry.
Let's see, what else did I want to say? Oh, yes, I have a request, and whether this will fall, Greg, to you in the transition to Chris, could we get an updated roster of both support staff to us and commissioners?
Yeah, we can put it together for you. And we'll email it to you all.
That'd be great. Is there anything else from the staff? Is there anything from any commissioners for the good of the order?
Just before you get to the
Frank.
commissioners, I will, just as something I want to put out there, so for, you're aware of just of future thoughts, and Chris as well, I should say as well, on some of the different boards and commissions I'm working on, it comes up from time to time, well, let's take a look at our rules of procedure, let's see, should they be updated? Sometimes there is a matter of including parts in your rules to deal with. Let's say you get a very contentious issue, you've got the rules in place, that's available for you or something like that. And just to do a general update. I had asked soon after coming on, are there rules for the HDC and where are they? Because one of the things we are looking at the city attorney, just talking with everybody who's involved in, I believe we have 24, 25 different commissions for the, and boards that sometimes are just giving general advice. It's not that they're necessarily making binding decisions or acting as a quasi-judicial body, but all are subject to open meetings, all could be subject to the Public Information Act where documents are requested, all need to send out agendas, things like that, so that people are aware where the meetings are and what's happening, and then there's a certain process for all. In any event, we have put together some general guidelines for commissions to pull up and kind of use to say, okay, we'll adopt these. Everybody's got rules, but sometimes they haven't been updated for years. So that introduction was to say, I did get a copy of the rules you have. You aren't in a situation where it's a monthly or even ever monthly issue where, well, let's see what the rules say, whether we can do it or not. It's all a matter of just working with what makes sense, and that works very well. So I don't mean to suggest that. But we will be looking at perhaps suggesting updates, getting some drafts out for you to take a look at that might say, well, we just need to clarify this. For instance, there's one provision of our rules I will say that I think reflects your past history, where you actually were not making binding decisions on permits, but more advising. And it actually talks about having private informal meetings with applicants, which open meetings rules wouldn't let you do anyway. Nobody's ever tried that, but that's the kind of thing that, well, if that's in the rules, it'd be better to adjust that, take that out, and just update them. So, in any event, we are taking a look at maybe several months before we come back with anything, but the reason why I wanted to mention it is, if you don't have them, maybe we can make sure to get them to you. One of the things we do want to try to do is have them online so that anybody can take a look at what the rules are. But if you have any thoughts or ideas, just up front with maybe we should have this included or address this, let us know, and we can certainly take a look at that. So it's just a future thing, and I'll be working with Chris more on that. That'll be a good way for him to get used to how you operate here. So it's not to suggest anything you're doing is a problem, it's just basic rules that are in place for everybody.
Okay, any commissioners, any thoughts on this? Because I have a comment which I suspect will not be welcomed by your boss. I feel very strongly, and, well, first off, as the chair of this commission, I represent the city and will abide by what our council says. Before your time, and I think even, I guess it was before the HDC, when we were HPAC, there were very spirited discussions about the roles of alternates. And we were given guidance by city council and then by executive use by the then city manager that just, there are certain protocols that alternates would provide or abide by, or actually by which they should abide, not to dangle my participle.
Sure.
But
We hear you.
I feel passionately that when I see, for example, Phil takes a lot of time and energy. I mean, we haven't had, in this meeting tonight, doesn't represent any terribly complicated or involved issues, but meetings do. And when I see the work that he did, and in the past we had 2 alternates, and if there was a full dais, they couldn't even comment. I'm not saying they should be able to vote necessarily on a binding agreement, because that raises a host of legal issues. But the opinion that came down from council, and as I say, we were trumped by executive use of a former city manager, that no, they cannot even speak, they cannot even comment on that application. And I think that is a waste of good talent and good ideas. And the reason given to me is, oh, well, that would confuse things, because then an applicant could say it just wasn't the commissioners voting. And I think we're just squandering an opportunity to get additional valuable information from very intelligent and hardworking people, number one. Number two, if I were an alternate and I'd spent a lot of time reviewing and looking at something and then had to sit there mum, even worse, if I had a point, I had made some observation or thought I'd seen something that would be of value on the merits. I don't mean just somebody going off on a rant now, to what was being discussed and didn't have an opportunity to do that, then I think we all lose. I think the time and energy of that alternate, I think the wisdom that insight could have provided to us to make the best decision we can as commissioners and as a commission for the city.
I don't know that anybody would necessarily disagree, and in past, you talked about before my time, well, in past lives that were all before my time, I've served on commissions and I've served as alternate as well. I think there may have been something at the administrative level, and I don't mean city or county, I mean at the state level.
Yes.
Because there were several different impacts in many different areas at the county and both the different county and different state levels with similar reactions to come down with a fairly firm rule. I don't know that that's been looked at in the last couple of years, because the last I'd heard about it, because I heard the same thing and some of the same complaints and may have voiced a few myself at the time, but it might have been 3 or 4 years since I've taken another look at it. So,
well,
I will, as we're looking at that, that'll be an opportunity to take a look.
But take a look at our rules.
Sure. Oh, I understand.
And our rules
yes,
allow us the right to change our own rules of procedure, and this is a rule of procedure.
Correct.
So anyway, that's my, as I said, I knew this would not be welcomed by your boss, probably not by Marty, probably not by Trudy, probably not by anybody but me. But anyway, any other thoughts from the commissioners for the good of the order?
I agree entirely.
I just, when I see the acumen that's here, and I'm a little bit on my soapbox, so I apologize. But when I see the talent we have here, and I see how hard somebody like Phil works, or Dean Ventola when he was an alternate, and I know the insights, and I know the combined wisdom when everybody comments on something, and I never try and force consensus here. I think the value of this commission is that everybody gets to state their opinion fully. If it turns out we are in consensus, great, but we never, at least as chair, I don't try and water something down to a common denominator. So I just think we can better do our duties and serve the public, come up with better, well-reasoned opinions if alternates are allowed to weigh in, even if it's not a matter on which they can vote.
I certainly have no problem taking a look at that. And that may not, I don't know that your rules specify,
They
some do and some don't.
Ours do. Read them.
So I'll take a look at that.
Yes. I guarantee you they do.
And I want to say I wholeheartedly agree, and I also want to say that a review of our rules of procedure is never a bad idea. We were young and new as HDC Commission, so it might not be a bad idea to look at them and just review them.
Right.
I don't remember being young.
Hey, listen.
Young in that sense, at least, right?
It is my birthday Friday, so I'm totally aware of age. Thank you. Well, on that happy note, the chair would be happy to entertain that motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Do we have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you all,
Thank you for
gentlemen and
your
ladies.
meeting.